one. Let's proceed to our next topic, that is uniform flow. So uniform flow, as we saw earlier, it is the flow in which the flow properties, which are such as discharge, velocity and flow depth, these don't change with respect to the channel length. As you move along the channel, the discharge, velocity and depth all remain the same. So this is only possible if we are given a prismatic channel, because if the area of cross section changes, then the velocity will change for the same discharge also, and then depth will also change. So it is only possible in a prismatic channel. So we should be there should be only one bed slope, and area of cross section should be fixed, and then only the uniform flow is possible. Now if there is because if we are given a single slope, if we change the bed slope, the flow depth will change. So for various slopes, the uniform flow depth will be different. So there can be uniform flow, but for a single slope there is only one depth for which the uniform flow will occur, and then that depth is known as the normal depth. And now the next point is channel bed slope, water surface slope and slope of energy line will be the same. What does it mean? In this diagram we can see, because the flow depth is not changing along the channel length and velocity is also not changing, so the velocity head will also be the same, and so the channel bed and hydraulic gradient line, which is also the water surface line, and the total energy line, these all will be parallel. If they are parallel, then only change in total energy will come due to the channel bed slope, because this is the only slope which is governing the flow. So because only this is governing the flow, then all these three lines are parallel in this case. And if we are considering our energy with respect to our channel bed, then this part is going to remain constant, and this is known as the specific energy. This we will cover in the specific energy unit properly. Now we can, for the better understanding of this last point, the frictional resistance between the channel boundary and flow and fluid is balanced by the gravity force. It can be better understood if we go in the momentum equation for uniform flow. So if we consider a flow, and there are two sections, and we are considering the weight of the fluid in between these two sections, so there is the component of weight in the direction of flow is W sine theta. Here this slope angle is theta, and pressure at section 1 is P1 and pressure at section 2 is P2. In uniform flow we consider the pressure condition as hydrostatic. And so as we know, the velocity at section 1 and velocity at section 2 are equal, and if they are equal, then change of momentum we give as rho qv. So v is not changing, so delta m is equal to 0. And if change is momentum is 0, it means that the sum of all the external forces should be equal to 0. And if we write the momentum equation, so it will be pressure force at section 1 plus the component of weight in the direction of flow minus the frictional resistance due to the boundary friction and minus the pressure at section 2. These are all the forces, and it should be equal to change in momentum, which is equal to 0. And now because the pressure distribution is hydrostatic, so in hydrostatic condition the pressure distribution is given as gamma y. So and the pressure head, if we are considering, so it will be py upon gamma, so it is equal to y. and if we multiply it by the area, so we'll get the pressure force. And so the pressure force at section 1 and section 2 will be equal, because the area is also same, I mean the bed width is also same and the flow depth is also same. So this P1 and P2 are equal, and so only two forces remain here, that is frictional resistance and the weight of the fluid in the direction of flow, which are equal. And because they are equal, it means that all the forces are balanced. There is no there is no net force in the direction of flow, and because there is no net force, and hence there will be no acceleration. And because there is no acceleration, so velocity is constant, and so the depth of flow is also constant for a given discharge. And because these things are constant, so we can say the flow will occur at a uniform flow depth and at the same velocity. And if the flow, if this force is if this forces are disturbed, let's say if the boundary friction becomes greater than W sine theta, it means that there is more resistance, and the weight of the fluid in the direction of flow, it is not being able to overcome this resistance. So what will happen, the flow will retard in this case. And about that more we will see in the unit of gradually varied flow. And because the flow is retarding, then the flow depth will also change, so it will not remain the uniform flow in that case. And if we use this equation again, we can derive the shear stress also from here. Boundary friction I can write as, if this is the channel, and so some area A and perimeter P, if shear stress is tau, then shear force will be equal to tau P into L, if this length between these two sections is L, which is equal to W sine theta. Weight of the fluid in this portion in between section 1 and section 2 will be equal to unit weight into area into length. This is volume and this is unit weight times sine theta. And if we are considering a small slope, if theta is small, then sine theta is equal to tan theta, and tan theta represents the slope of the bed. So I can write here as, this will cancel, and tau is equal to gamma A upon P, and sine theta, tan theta is equal to slope of the channel. So if I replace it by S, and A by P, we know that this is the hydraulic radius. So tau is equal to gamma R S naught. This is the equation for shear force in an open channel, I mean shear stress. And for the velocity calculation, two main equations which are used are Chezy and Manning's. Chezy can be derived from the same derivation here, and we don't need to remember the derivation, just the equation is important. So the velocity here is equal to C under root RS, and here C is the Chezy's coefficient, R is the hydraulic radius, and S is the bed slope. And by Manning's it is given as 1 by n r to the power 2 by 3 s to the power 1 by 2. Here also the r and s are the same as in the above equation. N is the Manning's roughness factor here, and so for the different materials we know the value of n. So if we know the value of n, we can put it here, and for the given channel we can find out the velocity using this equation. So this is highly used for the practical purposes in calculating velocity in open channels. Next is our economical and efficient channel sections. So if we are talking about an economical channel section, so what happens, if we are constructing a channel, we want the cost to be minimum, and major part of cost major part of cost comes due to the, if we want to line this canal, if we are making a canal and we want to do the lining, so it will take a lot of money to in the lining. So if we can minimize the perimeter, then we can have a section which is economical. And most efficient channel section is the section, if we are given a area of cross section, and in that area, with which section we can pass the maximum discharge. And so for a given area, if we can maximize the discharge, then that section is known as the most efficient channel section. And so if we want to know the relationship on what thing this discharge is depending, so we can use the Manning's equation here, and which is, well, discharge will be equal to 1 by n a r to the power 2 by 3 s to the power 1 by 2. Here a is fixed, so n will also be given for a channel, and so the discharge is depending upon, r is given as a by p to the power 2 by 3. And so because a and s is also fixed, so discharge is only depending upon the perimeter. So if discharge is inversely proportional to the perimeter, so if we want to maximize the discharge, then perimeter should be minimum. So for both most economical and most efficient, for both conditions, perimeter should be minimum. So we will use this condition to find out the most economical, most efficient and most economical channel section for various shapes. So first let's do for rectangular channel section. Let's say this is a channel and this is the bed width, some flow depth y. So area here can be given as by and perimeter can be given as b plus 2y. So if we want to find out the most efficient channel, so for that we saw that perimeter should be minimum, but in this case b and y are the two variables, so we can convert into one variable by putting the value of b from the area, because area is fixed. From here a upon y plus 2y, and for the most efficient channel we can, this should be minimum. And so from here, if we differentiate this, dp upon dy is equal to minus a upon y square plus 2, which is equal to 0. From here a is equal to 2y square and a is equal to by 2y square, so y comes out to be b upon 2. From here we see that first condition is the flow depth should be half of the bed width. This is first condition. Now the hydraulic radius r is given as a upon p. The a is by and perimeter is b plus 2y, and if we put the value of b, so it will be equal to 2y square upon 2y plus 2y. And if we solve this, r is equal to y upon 2. These are the two conditions for most efficient rectangular channel. You should remember these conditions. These will come in use while solving numericals. Now most efficient trapezoidal channel. So in this case there is one more variable. In the rectangular channel we had b and y, but now this slope of the side slope is also coming into picture, so we are having three variables. So first we'll put m as one, that means side slope as constant, and we'll try to find out the conditions. So for case 1, m is constant. So from here, area of trapezoid is given as here if this depth is y and this slope is 1 by m, so this part will be my, and similarly this also will be my, and this length is b. So from here we can write area as the 1 by 2 sum of parallel sides into the height. So it is 1 by 2 into b plus 2 my into y. So area comes out to be b plus my into y. And perimeter, if this is my and this is y, so this will be equal to m square y square plus y square, and which is y under root of 1 plus m square. And so the perimeter can be written as b plus 2y under root of 1 plus m square. And again we want to minimize the perimeter. Here b and y are variables because we are taking m as a constant, so we can replace the value of b by using this equation of area, and from here b is equal to a upon y minus my, and if I put it here, p is equal to a upon y minus my plus 2y under root of 1 plus m square. Now for minimizing the perimeter, dp upon dy should be equal to 0. And so let's find out dp upon dy is equal to minus a upon y square minus m plus 2 under root of 1 plus m square, which is equal to 0. From here a upon y square plus m is equal to 2 under root of 1 plus m square. Now if we multiply both sides by y, so we will get a upon y plus my is equal to 2y under root of 1 plus m square. And this we know, y under root of 1 plus m square is the length of side. It is called a slant length. So for this a upon y plus my, again if I use the area equation of the area, which is b plus my into y, and from here a upon y plus my will be equal to b plus 2my, and if I put the value of a upon y plus my here, it is equal to b plus 2my is equal to 2y under root of 1 plus m square. Now b plus 2my is the top width. So here we can see that t is equal to 2y under root of 1 plus m square, which means t is equal to 2 times the slant length. This is our condition 1 for efficient trapezoidal channel. Now let's find out the hydraulic radius. So hydraulic radius r is equal to a upon p. A is b plus my into y divided by perimeter is b plus 2y under root of 1 plus m square, and from this equation only 2y under root of 1 plus m square is equal to b plus 2my. If I put it here, b plus 2my, b plus my into y divided by b plus 2 b b plus b plus 2my. And if we solve this, we'll get r is equal to y upon 2. So this is our second condition. Now for the next condition, next condition is that if it is a efficient efficient trapezoidal channel, then it there should be it can a circle can be inscribed in which touches the side of this channel. So for proving that, if we take this triangle A O P, in this triangle it is a right angle triangle, so sine theta is equal to OP upon OA, and OP, if we take this as x, and OA is equal to top width upon 2. And now again, because this, if this is theta, then alternative angle, this angle will also be theta. So in triangle ARC, sine theta is equal to, this depth is y, so here this is also y. So this is AR upon AC. AR is y, and AC we know it is equal to y under root of 1 plus m square. Now if we equate because this is also sine theta and this is here also sine theta, so if we equate these two, so x upon t by 2 is equal to y upon y under root of 1 plus m square. And here we prove that t by 2 is equal to the slant length. So in the place of t by 2 I can write as x upon y under root of 1 plus m square is equal to y upon y under root of 1 plus m square, and from here this will cancel. It proves that x is equal to y, and if it is x and y are equal, which means it is the radius of this circle. So a circle of radius equal to depth of the flow can be inscribed inside a most efficient trapezoidal channel. Now for the case 2, this time we will not consider m as a constant, m is variable. We can again write a is equal to p plus my into y, and p is equal to p plus 2y under root of 1 plus m square, and p, if I replace the value of y, it will be equal to a upon y minus my, is 2y under root of 1 plus m square. And from here, if we differentiate this, so dp upon dy is equal to minus a upon y square minus m plus 2 under root of 1 plus m square, which is equal to 0. From here, a will be a upon y square is equal to 2 under root of 1 plus m square minus m, and a can be found out 2 under root of 1 plus m square minus m into y square. Now if we put this value of a in this equation, p is equal to 2 under root of 1 plus m square minus m into y plus 2 minus my, 2y under root of 1 plus m square. So here p will be equal to 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m square minus 2my. 4 under root of 1 plus m squ this is also y. And if we do dp by dm this time with respect to channel slope, so if we differentiate this, we will find out that m is equal to plus minus 1 by root 3. So there is here negative slope is of no use, so we will discard that, and so m is equal to 1 by root 3. So 1 is to m will be equal to root 3 is to 1, and from here m 1 by m is equal to tan theta, so tan theta will be equal to root 3. It means theta should be equal to 60 degree. So this angle, if it is theta, then this should be equal to 60 degree for most efficient trapezoidal channel. So this is our fourth condition. This was a third condition. So there are four conditions for trapezoidal channel. First is the top width should be equal to twice the slant length, and the second is hydraulic radius should be equal to flow depth upon 2. Third is there should be a circle can be inscribed inside a trapezoid, most efficient trapezoidal section. And fourth is this side slope is equal to root 3 is to 1 or theta is equal to 60 degree. Now if we solve this, putting all these value, now it comes out as b, and this b is also equal to y under root of 1 plus m square, and which is equal to the side length. And so this angle is 60, so this will be 120, and b and side length, if these are equal, it means that it is a regular hexagon. So the most efficient trapezoidal section is half of a regular hexagon. Now let's move to the triangular section. So it is again similarly we can do for this. The area here, if this is flow depth y, so this is my, and this is also equal to my, and so area will be equal to half into height into width, so it is 2my, which is equal to my square, and perimeter will be equal to, if this is y, this is my, and will be y under root of 1 plus m square. Y, so for two sides this is 2y under root of m square. Here depth and side slope are variables, so we can replace any of these and solve the equation. If I put m is equal to a upon y square, so from here p is equal to 2y under root of 1 plus a square upon y 4. For the most efficient channel, dp upon dy should be equal to 0. And from here dp and dy equal to, by the product rule if we solve, so it is 2 1 plus a square upon y4 plus 2y upon under root 2 1 plus a square upon y4 into minus 4a square upon y to the power 5, which is equal to 0. So solving this will cancel out. We can write as 2 under root of 1 plus a square upon y4 is equal to minus 4a. We take this, it will be plus, so this is y4 and under root of 1 plus a square upon y4. and from here this is 2y4 1 plus a square upon y4 is equal to 4a square. From here if you multiply it, 2y4 plus 2a square is equal to 4a square. From here 2a square is equal to 2y to the power 4. From here this will cancel out and a is equal to y square. So originally we were considering a is equal to my square, which is coming out to be y square, and from here m is equal to 1. So for the this is the condition. So for the most efficient triangular section, the slope should be side slope is equal to 1:1, and which means if it is 1:1, then if this is 1:1, then this theta will be equal to 45 degree and this 2 theta will be equal to 90 degree. So side slope is 1:1 and theta is equal to 45 degrees. This is the condition for most efficient triangular section. I will make a separate video for most efficient circular section, because these conditions don't apply in case of circular sections. That's it for today. Thank you.